Hi, I'm Andy Bandyopadhyay, and I help people share their stories. I'm thrilled to be presenting the Singer Spotlight interview series for the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. Today, I'm excited for you to meet Erick, who talks about the importance of taking your time to figure out who you are and to tell people who are close to you there's no rush. I'm really excited to hear some of your stories. So, to kick us off, could you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Erick Ducut. I was born in the Philippines, raised there, moved to the US about a decade ago, a little over a decade ago. I live in San Francisco now, and I'm with the chorus. I think this is my fourth year, and I sing with the upper baritone section.
Amazing. How did you find out about the chorus in the first place?
So it was a no-brainer for me. I've sung with other gala choruses before I moved here. So when I moved to San Francisco, I knew already I was going to join. In fact, it was a gala in Denver prior to my move to San Francisco. So I already met a couple of people there who were members of the chorus. So I told them I was going to apply.
Nice. Wait, so how did you find out about your first gala chorus?
So that was a very interesting thing. I've never seen or heard about a gay chorus before. I was living in Washington D.C. A friend of mine invited me to a benefit concert, and I didn't really know what I was to expect. And then when I got there, the whole stage was full of gay men wearing their tux, singing about songs of the family of the different types of families, and it was really very touching and special. So from there on, I said I'm gonna give it a try. It was a good time, good thing, a way to meet other people. I don't go to bars, so it was hard for me to meet other gay men, and that was definitely a very helpful experience. 'Cause I was a huge family immediately after I joined the chorus. So after that, every time I move to a different city, I make sure that I join their chorus there. And when I moved to San Francisco, it was a no-brainer.
What's been the most rewarding part of being in chorus for you?
Oof. One thing I like about San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus, which I think sets it apart from the other choruses, it's its sense of activism. I feel that I'm not just singing, I'm actually singing about something. And the most rewarding thing for me so far in the past 4 years has been the Lavender Pen Tour. It was such a wonderful experience. I got to know my brothers more in a deeper sense because I traveled and sang with them, and then I got to be exposed outside my bubble, outside my comfort zone. I got to engage in conversations with other people who are not necessarily think the same way I do. So that was a wonderful experience. And even now with the movie and the other things, I feel it's just a rewarding experience.
Are there any particular conversations that stood out?
It was really a lot about my very first day there after we got there was a church service, and it's been a long time since I've been inside a church. I grew up from a devout Catholic family, and back then we would go to church, on a weekly basis. But it's been a while since I've been in church, inside church. So that was a moving experience for me. And afterwards, having breakfast with them and talking about the experience, and afterwards, their pastor coming up to our bus saying it was such a wonderful experience, and a lot of minds were changed during that service and during that breakfast. So it was a wonderful experience.
Wow. So, you mentioned you grew up Catholic and you used to go to church very regularly. Tell me a little bit
Yes.
more about how you grew up more broadly.
So I grew up, like I mentioned before, I grew up in the Philippines, born and raised there. My family's a devout Catholic family. My mother still goes to church daily. I go to church, back then I go to church weekly, but I was actually also an altar boy then. It was very different. In the Philippines back then, might be different now, but back then, homosexuality is tolerated but not really accepted. So as long as you're not overtly gay or talking about it or flaunting it to everybody, they will tolerate you. And in my family, it's just a typical Filipino family where they know, but they don't really talk about it. So we didn't really get to talk about it until 2015 when I got engaged. That was the very first time we actually talked about me and my life, and yeah. So it was very different. I grew up. Uh, um, I studied in an exclusive Catholic boys' school. So elementary school, I was trained by the Benedictine priest, and then high school was Jesuit priest. So it was difficult because, like I mentioned, it's not something that they accept. I even remember back when I was in high school, the high school principal, who was a priest, even said that homosexuality was a mental illness. So it was hard. It was hard to come out during that time.
How did you know you were gay?
I just knew that something was different. Back when I was at elementary school, I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was different. I was gravitating towards a group of older gay students, and I think that at the time, that was around the time that I knew something was different, and I was attracted to people of the same genders, people of the same sex. So yeah, but I think after educating myself, reading more about it, watching it on TV, watching it on movies, I started to understand more and more about myself. So when the time came for me to come out, it was not as difficult because I felt I had more support then.
So tell me a little bit about that process. What were the sources of support you turned to? Yeah.
Okay, so mine, I mean, I guess it's different for each person, but mine was a slow process. So even though I knew I was different, and even though I've accepted myself, I was different, I was gay, it took me a while to be comfortable outside myself and start talking about it with other people. So I don't think it's only until maybe high school when I started, like I said, I started gravitating towards a group of other gay guys. So we would have shared experiences, we would talk during retreats and stuff. But it was only really in college where I started to open up with other people outside my usual group or outside my circle. And it was around that time too that I started to be more active in talking about myself and my identity, and talking about it with others, with the hope that they would understand it too and be more accepting. So that was, yeah.
What was the conversation like with your family when you were telling them about your engagement?
So I started with my siblings because I knew they would understand it more. So I started with them. I said, hey, wanted to tell you that I met this person, and we got engaged. So, and then my siblings started to talk to my parents about it, and the common theme was really, we knew. So congratulations, and we knew. So they were actually very supportive. They were all in my during my wedding ceremony. They were all there. So they flew in from different parts of the world to join me.
So if there's a young queer person watching this who maybe has something in common with you in terms of background, whether that's being from the Philippines or growing up Catholic or any other part of your background, what would you tell them?
Well, for one, I would say that be patient. It's different for each person. It can be a slow process like myself. And the most important really thing I feel is find people with same minds as you. Find them. They're around you. They're everywhere. And you'll be surprised. And you just have to make the effort to find them so that they can be your source of support. Be brave. Things will definitely get so much better once you're more independent, once you know more about yourself, and once you come out of your shell. So those are the things I would tell queer folk about it.
Nice. Do you have a favorite song that you've performed with chorus, or a favorite show?
Oof, there's a lot. Oof. I think one song that I liked singing then was there was a song back when I was still with DC called "Marry Us," and it was such a powerful song that I actually cried while we were singing on stage. And with the chorus, with the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus, and "Unbreakable" was such a wonderful concert, such a wonderful show that each song resonated so much. It was so hard. It was so emotional. It was so hard not to be emotional on stage. But yeah, those are my favorite moments on stage. So,
Is there anything else you'd like to share about your chorus experience?
well, like I mentioned a while ago, I head the care corps of the chorus, which has been such a wonderful experience. I have a wonderful set of volunteers with me who are so, gung ho and very active and very want to help, and it's been good. So we're hoping to move forward with that in the coming years and maybe even grow a little bit more in terms of our scope. So that definitely makes my experience with the chorus a bit more different compared to the others.
How did that start?
Um, so there have been iterations of the care core in the past. They've been known as the spirit team or the care team. Right after the Lavender Pen tour, I felt I wanted to do more for the chorus. I was part of the med team, but I felt that there was already an established med team in the chorus, and I wanted to do something more. And back when I was with the Philly Game and Chorus, there was a group similar to this that basically, tend to people who are hospitalized, who are sick at home. So I talked to Tohid, to Remy, and to Dave and say, hey, I have this idea. How about we form this group and see how we can help? And then that's everything else is history. So yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah, we like it. We get to uplift spirits of our brothers who are ill or just had an accident or sick. So but,
I love that about this group, that in so many different ways there's a sense of brotherhood and care for each other in a way that I never expected in a choral group before joining. So it's amazing.
Definitely, and it's just a rewarding experience. Definitely.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, be safe and healthy.